Good morning, White Mountain Apache Tribe, and good morning, all viewers worldwide, to another Saturday morning edition of conversations and informative report from Chairwoman Gwendena Lee-Gatewood. Good morning. My name is Jerry Glochet Jr. I'm Chief of Staff for the Office of the Chairwoman of White Mountain Apache Tribe. And I'm here in front of a Christmas tree and a newly repaired wall from water and sewer damage. So I'll talk more about that later on. Let's welcome the Honorable Chairwoman, Gwendena Lee-Gatewood.
Good morning.
Hey, here she is. Oh, you're in front of a tree as well. All right.
Yeah, it's still a decoration in progress. So.
Okay, well, I just barely put mine up about 20 minutes ago. And I got the tree yesterday. I got the tree from our own homeland. I know there's probably relatives that are maybe in Korea or Afghanistan tuned in, far, far away. So I got this tree near A1 Lake, y'all. Yeah, got off the highway and drove off, and nice tree. I'm really happy about it. So anyway.
Looks very fluffy. It'll look even better.
Yeah, it looks like it's from the store.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah. So I'm happy about it. Smells good in here. Yeah, Chairwoman, I'm inside for the first time. It's 43 degrees outside, by the way. I could have handled it, but I wanted to come inside because behind me not only is the tree, but also a newly repaired wall, nicely painted. At the bottom of it on the floor was some severe water damage. And through you and the governing body's program, the Water and Sewer Improvement Home Program, whatever it's called, I was able to partake in that, and they finally finished. They started before Thanksgiving. And so they had to have a loud machine behind me, and right above me was a plastic drooping down, taped up, and they installed a zipper, zip, zip, and so that was the only way to get in. And so the whole bottom was gutted out, and it was rotted with mold. I understand that's very dangerous, but for at least one person here, I am extremely grateful for this program, and I'm sure others that are being worked on as we speak, maybe, or this coming week, they're going to be happy as well. So kudos to you and members of the governing body. Thank you sincerely. And so the water damage came from behind the wall. How were we supposed to know? We can't see it, but there was damage, so it's gone now. So anyway, wow, we got a lot of people tuned in. So Chairwoman, let's get right to it.
Even as far as Tennessee, there's people from Tennessee watching. There we go. They just say good morning. Thank you for tuning in. Jerry, I want to quickly comment on this water, sewer, and plumbing projects. G-Shacks will not qualify for plumbing, to set up plumbing. G-Shacks aren't made to be lived in. So please remember that. And if you live in a shack or something, and you're wanting to get work done to set up your own bathroom, this program will not allow that. It has to be an existing house with plumbing and sewer water already attached for it. Now, if it's a house that used to have water available and now you don't have water, that's something different. But please remember that. Very, very important.
Good point. Good. So I'm glad you mentioned that. I know a lot of people don't mind living in those things that are so-called G-Shacks. It helps out because of a crowded home, but yeah, they don't qualify. So I'm glad you brought that up. Chairwoman, as of right now, immediately right now, what time is it? 10:09 a.m. Yes. We are in a lockdown. It is because of some trigger points in the numbering of positive cases that we've reached consistently. Therefore, that trigger point triggered the EOC, Emergency Operations Center, to trigger the governing body, in which you guys squeezed the trigger and boom, lockdown. Can you talk about that real quick?
Yes, we've been meeting every day. The EOC has, with Indian Health Service, Johns Hopkins, all the partners that are delivering the daily updates on the positive cases on our reservation, and those meeting, and they were lowered to 34 in a 3-day period. We bypassed that. So we immediately go into a 72-hour lockdown, which means we will be in lockdown until Monday, 8:00 p.m. So we now are in a lockdown. I know many of you are saying, why are people still walking around? One, they shouldn't be. Two, people are driving on the road. Remember, there are some people that still have to go to work, and they are exempt if they can prove that they have a work schedule, a badge, or a letter from their employer. Or another reason they might be on the road is if they need medical attention. So those are the ones that are exempt. And then Tribal Council did vote to allow the hunters, as long as they have their tag, to go hunting. I know you're probably saying, why? Well, it was based on the fact that, one, they're outdoors, they're going to be, by themselves or with one other person, and it's outdoors and it's a food source. Many different reasons went into allowing that, but according to the number of tags that have been, given out, this was a recommendation made by our Game and Fish Department with Dr. Stuart Leon, who is at the helm of those recommendations, and that's where that decision came from. But we are in a lockdown.
Good. Yeah. I am one of those that are fortunate to start a new season today. So after this program, I'm going to get changed out and head out. But it's for deer. So it's either mule deer or whitetail. So I'm happy. I'm looking forward to that. And I appreciate the council making that decision. So yes, so that means Monday for tribal employees, we're excused, right? All employees are excused except first responders and those that are from enterprise.
Essential employees. Yes, essential employees. And memos did go out. So check your work emails.
Okay. Chairwoman, also a different subject here. We've been promoting a calendar featuring dogs from our local homeland, and I understand that's available and oh, there you go. You want to talk about that? It's done, huh?
Yeah, it's done. This is a full print of it. Very nice. And we're going to be selling them online, or if you want to mail in your order. Cairo Clay is doing the setup with that. And I certainly don't want to handle the money part of it. So thankful for our treasurer to set that up, and he'll be responsible for that. Why are we doing this? Why dogs? What's going on? Well, if you remember, we have a disease outbreak as well called Rocky Mountain Spotted Fever. And Rocky Mountain Spotted Fever, the disease, it's from ticks, and dogs carry ticks. And if those ticks have, if they bite you, you can get very, very sick. It has even killed some of our tribal members. Very sad situation. It's a public health matter. And one of the ways we wanted to help our Rocky Mountain Spotted Fever team was to help raise funds. Now, it all is dependent upon how well this calendar does, but it's our first step in helping. We'll see how it does, but it's out, and I have to thank the community. It's the first ever community-driven project where
Can you show it again?
the community members,
Yeah.
you tribal members, along with your members of your family, meaning your pets, put this calendar together. And there's some quotes in here from people about dog care, and those are from our very own tribal members. And the funds and proceeds from this, you could even donate a little more, will go to helping take care of that Rocky Mountain spotted fever, to help with pet care, pet vaccinations, anything to do with to improve the pet population here, spay and neuter programs. You know, we want to not deal with Rocky Mountain spotted fever. And on top of that, COVID-19, and on top of that, all the other things that are coming at us. So this is the first ever that tribal members have put together. And I thank you for putting it together. Your interest, you're wanting to participate. When I first announced this, I honestly thought no one's gonna care. No one probably will send me any photos of any dogs. 285 photos of dogs came through, and not all of them could make it on here, because when the photo quality was reproduced by the printer, it got really blurry. It just, yeah. So we couldn't do those. So it's always,
how much is it? Do you know?
It's gonna be $5.
Oh man, that's good. You could get a couple and give it for other people for Christmas. It's a limited supply. Also, what's going on in addition to coronavirus and this Rocky Mountain spotted fever is the puppies. They're prone to provo or what's it called? Oh, parvo. Yeah, sorry about that.
This guy got the most. I mean, this guy's popular. His name is Gus, and he's from Cedar Creek, and he's featured in July.
Hey,
so that's Gus.
All right, Gus looks like that guy, the dog from Men in Black.
So that's our calendar. So
all right, Gus,
members,
I hope you're watching, and I hope you get a bone pretty soon. So stay goal, Gus. All right, Gus the dog. Okay, well, thank you, Chairwoman, and it's good that the tribal treasurer created a separate account. So all funds, it's just going to be all for that, and it won't be touched.
Yeah, he's gonna take care of it. I certainly don't want to.
Right. I just wanted to bring that to the people's attention. Okay. So also we got some news update from Whiteriver Unified School District here, where the majority of our tribal member students attend, and we have Superintendent Jennifer Plath here. Let's welcome her, and there she is. How you doing?
Good morning. Doing well, thank you.
Good. So we'll throw the ball to you, I guess, and you can say what's happening at our schools.
All right. Again, thank you both for some time to share with our community this morning. Good morning, Whiteriver, and all of you who are here with us across the nation and maybe other countries. From Whiteriver Unified School District, I wanted to share with our community, we have 2 more weeks of school before winter break starts. So winter break will be the weeks of December 20th and December 27th, and then school will resume on January 4th. First semester ends on January 15th. And most of you know that our governing board has voted to remain in phase 1 until the end of first semester, which is January 15th. So when we return from winter break, we will continue to be in phase 1. That means all of our students are in class, remote distance learning. However, Whiteriver Unified School District, we want to be prepared for phase 2 when it is safe to make that move, and that will happen sometime after January 15th. So we haven't made a decision as to when we will move to phase 2, We continue to work closely with the tribal EOC and IHS there in White River, but we want to be prepared. So we are again asking all kindergarten through 6th grade parents and guardians to complete a phase 2 survey. This is located in your child's Google Classroom. Hopefully our teachers have started to talk to you and share with you some information about that phase 2 survey so that we have an accurate count of which families would like to remain with distance learning when we go into phase 2, whenever that is, and which families, which students want to participate in some on-site instruction. So again, you can find that phase 2 survey in your child's Google Classroom or on the WUSD parent portal. So it's in those 2 places. And if you have any questions about that, you just call your student or student's school and they can give you more information about that.
So school is online until December 14th. Then you're going on a 2-week break?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
And then school resumes when?
School will resume on Monday, January 4th.
January 4th, still online.
Still online, at minimum through January 15th, and that will be the end of first semester. And then, like I said, we'll need to make some decision based on community health and wellness as to whether we'll continue online or when, we'll need to be making a decision sometime after that as to when it would be safe to move to a phase 2.
Okay, and who is the IT person they're asking?
Our IT director for the district is Pierre D. Humbro.
Okay. I had a question. In this household, all of our kids are done, and so, but we're grandparents and sometimes they're here. So how does one make sure they done it on this, what's called Google Classroom? Do most of the parents know how to access that, or do the students know how to access that for the parents that might not know or be familiar with it?
Right. So we've been doing this since the start of the school year in August 24th. Okay. So all of our students should be very aware of how to log into their Google Classroom. I think most of our parents know. If you have any questions, you can contact our school sites. We are answering the phones, and we have staff at the school sites that can physically assist families and parents. You would just need to schedule a time to swing on by the school, and they'll have someone there who can meet with you in person, outside of the shelter in place, and assist you with any questions you have regarding technology.
Okay.
Thank you. All right. No hechugasha da oltaki December 14 ji da oltak do lesala abi kero da tinji kishi in ka Christmas sibiwa ekot anji na nada di sound do les ekot ayet adak di laptop da computer da wanyo da oltak do les kachu ka na di hibik iji abina da sto do les di kindergarten dak o 6th grade chigasha da oltaki ima itat da no li and is din in da san no kit la a survey di hat ina nira kit to les and la or les ana aheha.
All right, so good. So now I thank you very much, and hopefully we'll have something exciting with Falcon basketball, but that's later on, so we won't worry about that now. Okay. But hopefully things will come back to normal and within a year. Gosh, it's been an awkward year this year. All righty, well, let's go on to, yes, thank you, Mrs. Plath.
Thank you for the time. Have a good day, and everyone stay safe.
Thank you. You too.
Good. Have a good weekend. We have some special guests. Chairwoman, I'll throw the ball to you, I guess, however you want to introduce them. There's 3 guests that we have.
Yeah, the producer will put up what our discussion is for today. And I want to thank all of you for joining us. And the question is, would you get the COVID-19 vaccine shot? Our two guests are going to be talking, our three guests will be talking about the vaccine efficacy, more in-depth information about COVID-19. And we're going to be speaking with Dr. Dave Wilson, National Institute of Health. He is the Director of Tribal Health Research. Dr. James McCauley, he's a clinical director and infectious specialist at Whiteriver Indian Health Service. And our very own Derek Leslie, who has been instrumental in creating our policy, working with coordination. And he's also a Johns Hopkins proctor person with teaching assistant there as a teaching assistant, working with the Center for American Indian Health. So Derek Leslie is a very well versed in helping create policy. So good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chairwoman.
There he is.
Good
morning.
All right, there you go. We see you all now. So welcome to the program, and it should be a very informative one. I think people have been kind of curious about this. I certainly have. And so in the horizon, in the future, the prospect of vaccine is here. So I'm not sure how to really start this, but Chairwoman, I guess I'll leave that to you. I got a lot of questions, but we'll have some kind of a starting point with you.
Okay, well, how we're going to do this is we're going to give the time and opportunity to Dr. Dave Wilson to do a slide presentation, and he's going to explain the presentation to us, and then we'll follow with Dr. McCauley and Derek Leslie, of course, and kind of round it together, and then we'll have opportunity for questions from the viewers. And I've also got some questions here as well that I've been getting throughout the time since I've been posting about today's show. And to all of our viewers out there, thank you for watching. I know you have a lot of questions, anxiety. A part of this is to help you to be informed. And you should be informed and be educated. Learn all you can, ask questions. It's very, very important for you, which is why we're bringing this to you. And I want to thank Dr. Wilson for taking time out of his busy Saturday, as well as Dr. McCauley and Derek as well. So good morning, gentlemen. And with that, Dr. Dave Wilson.
Mr. Dr. Wilson. All right.
Good morning. My name is Dave Wilson. I am the director of the Tribal Health Research Office at the National Institutes of Health. I'm also a member of the Navajo Nation. My family currently resides right outside of Gallup in Manuelito, New Mexico. It's been quite a while since I've been able to go home, so you're making me jealous having this conversation about going hunting and all these other things. I really, really miss that. So, well, today we've gathered to have a very important discussion. So if we could bring up the slides on the presentation, I would really appreciate that. And we can get into providing as much information as we can around the emerging development of vaccines that have been taking place at the National Institutes of Health. So next slide, please. So unfortunately, I'm just hearing about, the shelter-in-place order that has been put on the White Mountain Apache, and I think that that's a really important conversation because as we've been thinking about the spread of COVID-19, we've really been talking about, if we were going to come in contact, but now it seems the conversation has shifted to actually when we're going to come in contact with COVID-19. This is not a phenomenon that's unique to one specific area of the country right now. You can see that cases are developing and emerging and really getting out of control across the country. So it's really important that we think about the ways that we can reduce the severity of this illness in our communities, as we have seen on the news and as we're seeing in our own communities, just by knowing our communities and our families that we engage with, that Native Americans are at higher risk. And we've been suffering at greater rates of infection, but also having higher levels or higher incidence of death related to COVID-19 infection. So it's really important for us to have these conversations about what are the things that we can do to help mediate some of this disease. Next slide, please. So the government, the NIH, and what I think many people have heard about is Operation Warp Speed, has been in a public and private partnership to develop a multitude of vaccines or products that can help address this. And so right now there are 6 products that are currently in late stage clinical trials. And it's important to look at these in the different categories. So I'm going to talk about some of the specific platforms to give everyone who's online a kind of a sense about how these operate in our bodies and what it means and how they help combat the infection or the virus, and how they help provide a level of protection. So here you can see that the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines, they're what are considered mRNA vaccines. And then we have 2 that are sponsored by AstraZeneca and Janssen, which is a sub-company of Johnson & Johnson. And these are adenovirus vectors. Adenovirus vector platforms are some of the everyday common viral or flu vaccines or flu vectors that we get every year. We also have 2 additional platforms, which are Novavax and Sanofi, and these are protein-based vaccines. And these are more of the common types of vaccines that we're familiar with. And there's also a lot of reason behind how these are all laid out. So the Moderna, the RNA vaccines are actually easier to produce in a laboratory as opposed to producing the protein particle based vaccines. And that's why some of these vaccines are rolling out at a later date. You can see the Sanofi vaccine that we have here scheduled for December, that has been actually pushed back to January. So it takes a lot longer for these companies to produce these proteins in a stabilized way that, you know, we can get them out into usable quantities in the form of vaccines. Next slide, please. So here's, I think, a really interesting image. This is a real image of a coronavirus, and you can see here that we've been able to identify how this particular virus enters our cells and creates infection. And that is through what is known as the spike protein. Next slide, please. So the NIH, the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease, has generated this really nice and colorful model that really depicts that spike protein. And you can consider the spike protein as a form of a landing gear. You know, landing gear that allows it to make contact with our cells. And it actually specifically engages something called the ACE2 receptor on the outside of our cells. What's really important to consider, what's really important to think about is that this virus is not discriminating. You know, we all have, as human beings, ACE2 receptors, and that is the only thing that this virus is looking for to bind to and to enter as a mechanism to enter our cells and cause infection. So it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter where you come from. This virus, all it needs is that ACE2 receptor to recognize, to bind, and to be able to infect our cells and to create disease. Next slide, please. So that is why I think, because we don't know how vaccines are going to actually, how effective they will be, there's a variety in the different types of vaccines that are being produced. So the Moderna, which is right here below in the lower left-hand corner, is an mRNA platform vaccine, meaning that what is being injected into your arm is actually the instruction sheet for how to make that spike protein, and that is it. So our bodies already have the machinery to be able to produce proteins. That's how we react and grow and thrive each day. But with this particular transcript, it will be injected into our arm, and our bodies will recognize it and make that spike protein. Once that spike protein is made, it is recognized as a foreign peptide or protein, and our body begins to generate an immune response to that. And part of that immune response is creating antibodies, specific antibodies that will actually bind that landing gear that I showed earlier. And once that landing gear is bound, then it prohibits or it inhibits disease from the virus from infecting our cells and creating disease. In the upper right-hand corner, you can see the AstraZeneca platform. And again, this is in a viral vector that is something that we come in contact with all the time. The difference is that this has that specific sequence that codes for the spike protein. So once this is injected into our arms, then our body again will begin to transcribe and translate this particular spike protein. and then our body will recognize the protein, create antibodies towards it, and then those antibodies will become what are defined or termed as neutralizing antibodies to coat those virus particles. When we come in contact with the whole particle at some later point in time, then we're able to mitigate the severity of the disease or infection. And then below that is the third variant of the vaccines, which is the Novavax. And here you can see that, again, this is the one. These are the vaccine trials that are just coming into recruitment phase, and they've taken a lot longer because they are producing mass amounts of peptide, and then those peptide products are then injected into our arms, and our body recognizes those peptides as foreign and creates antibodies. Next slide. So what's really important here, oh, whoa, this is an interesting, this is not how the slide is supposed to look, but what the ultimate goal here is that these Y-shaped looking figures here are antibodies, and they will bind up this receptor, and again, mitigating or reducing the severity of illness that we experience when we come in contact with the live virus. Next slide, please. Something that we get a lot of questions about, and a lot of community members in all different communities are very interested in, is will I get infected if I take this virus? And the answer is absolutely not. And the reason being is that here, using the diagram below, if we are able to create 1,000 tires or 1,000 steering wheels or 1,000,000 speedometers, those products in themselves, those items will never ever equate to a fully functional car. Same goes with the concept around the production of these vaccines, that we are producing billions or millions of these spike proteins, but those in themselves will never result in a fully functional and infectious virus particle. There are a lot of other parts that go into making a live or a fully functional and infectious virus particle. So that's something really important to think about when we're thinking about the development and the soon-to-be, hopefully, availability of these vaccines. Next slide. So people have always asked too, are there Native Americans who are enrolled in these studies? So as we've heard that these two of these platforms, the Moderna and the AstraZeneca, I'm sorry, the Pfizer product and AstraZeneca are actually all entering the emergency use authorization protocols. And the answer is absolutely yes. The COVE or the Moderna study, which is the mRNA platform, we are actually in here in the 3%. And of this entire study, Native Americans comprised 175 participants in all enrolled in this study and participated. So that equated to, I believe, around 0.8% participation of ANs in the US. Next slide. And for the Pfizer study here, you can see that this is really recently updated on November 30th. The Native Americans on this study are actually at a much higher rate. So doing a little bit of math, that's almost 450 participants from our communities that have enrolled or that have volunteered to participate in this study. Now, this is important because, you know, again, considering the underlying conditions that a lot of our community members face, we really want to make sure that this vaccine is not only safe, but it is effective in reducing the severity of illness. Something that we don't know, and I think something that is really important for us to consider, is that this vaccine will not be a silver bullet for ending the pandemic overnight. It's going to take time. And you'll hear from Dr. McCauley, who will talk about, you know, that there is going to be challenges in terms of not only production, but distribution of vaccines in the near future. We have a tremendous goal of trying to vaccinate the entire United States of America, and that in itself is a really daunting phenomenon in itself. So we still, even after we are vaccinated, we have to think about wearing a mask. The reason being is that we don't know enough about this vaccine. We don't know if being vaccinated will actually prevent us from being infectious. because that is a really critical question that needs to be answered, and only through research will we be able to answer that. We do know that after being vaccinated, that our own bodies will be able to quickly initiate an immune response, but we don't know during that short window when our bodies are ramping up that immune response, will we be infectious to other people who may not have had the vaccine? And so those are really important questions. We also don't know how long this vaccine will provide protection to us. And again, these are studies that are ongoing, but we will have to learn more as we go through time about, what is the durability? And that's the term used, and you'll hear it more and more as these vaccines come out, is what is the durability around this? Next slide, please. So if anyone is really interested in more information, there's a lot of videos that our group, Operation Warp Speed, the Coronavirus Prevention Network, which is a funded project out of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Disease, that's co-led by Dr. Anthony Fauci and Dr. Larry Corey. That this website here, the coronaviruspreventionnetwork.org, has really great videos, a lot of really simple and easy to read, easy to understand information. You don't have to be a molecular scientist to really understand what we're trying to communicate in these. And that's really important because there's a lot of unknowns, there's a lot of uncertainty. And our goal is not to convince anybody about their opportunities or change their minds about the vaccine, but we want to provide you as much information as possible so that you can make that informed decision when these vaccines are available. Is it beneficial to you, to your community, to your family? And that is a decision, that's a personal decision, that is a community decision. And that's where our goal, again, is to provide as much information and clarity and transparency about these vaccines as possible so that you can make those important decisions very soon. Next slide, please. And if you want to learn more about our office, here is my contact information, dave.wilson2@nih.gov. And you can go see our website and all the great work that we're doing. We really appreciate Chairwoman Lee-Gatewood. She is a member of our NIH Tribal Advisory Committee, so she helps provide recommendations about how the NIH guides its research investment related to tribal communities. So she's a valuable resource. She's a very strong advocate for research that happens in our communities. And with that, I will stop and thank you very much for the opportunity to share this information with you.
COVID-19 also get the vaccine when the time comes?
I'm sorry, I lost you on that first part.
Oh, okay. There's a question here that says, should people who have already contracted and survived COVID-19 also get the vaccine when the time comes?
Those are great questions, and we don't know what. I think there's going to be additional follow-up because people will need to know if they carry residual titers of antibodies. So our bodies will, once we come in contact with an antigen, our bodies will generate memory B cells and will remember that particular antigen. Again, it's about durability. So this may be, we don't know if this is going to be something that we need to do every year, or if it's something that we're going to only have to do once. And so those are unknown questions. So please stay tuned for that critical amount of information. There will be a lot more information as these vaccines become more accessible about individuals who have been previously infected with COVID-19 and what type of vaccines they should be thinking about. So thank you for the question.
And there's another one, well, people feel ill after getting the vaccine. That's like any other vaccine, you will get some effects of, your sore arm, that type of thing.
Absolutely. So we have not seen, and it has not been reported so far that these vaccines have produced severe levels of discomfort. Like you said, some people have experienced the sore arm, others have experienced a little bit of fatigue. But the thing that's most important is that within 24 hours, that at 24 to 48 hours, that has all gone. It is over with. So it's a very short-term level of discomfort that people feel from these vaccines right now.
Okay. I have one myself that I was like to ask. Say I get a shot from Pfizer the first round, and then I because I'm so busy, I'm like I can't schedule, and then the second round shot, can that come from Moderna, or does it have to stay consistent with if you get a Pfizer shot, you have to the second dose has to be Pfizer? Is that something that's okay, or?
That's a great question. And because of the specifics around the development of each of these different vaccines, it's advised that you follow with the same company because they're going to be producing peptides or specific regions of that spike protein that may be different from, so you saw how big that landing gear was.
Mm-hmm. You
create those different peptides to them, our bodies may recognize different parts of that landing gear. So it's important that you're consistent, because what you're doing in the second dose is you're boosting your body's ability to produce neutralizing antibodies towards that specific peptide. So if you introduce another one, you may reduce the level of intensity that you're able to respond to the virus.
And if I could mention that's true for other vaccines that we've been using for many years. If we start with one Haemophilus vaccine, we continue with that same vaccine for that very reason. So that's not an unusual strategy.
Okay, thank you. Dr. McCauley, will you be able to answer this one? Which vaccine is given to the White Mountain Apache tribe, which I guess would be Whiteriver Indian Health Service? Do you have that information?
Well, a little bit. First, I'll mention that almost 50 of the people who have participated in the studies are from the White Mountain Apache tribe. So you have community members who have already participated in the Pfizer study. So that's good. And that's been good for us to learn how to use it. We believe we are currently of the understanding that we will get the Pfizer vaccine, which is the one that needs to be kept very, very cold. And one of the reasons is we have the freezers that can handle that. And not every tribal community has those freezers. So the Indian Health Service is distributing based on the community's ability to receive the vaccine. So we anticipate within a very short time of FDA emergency use authorization, we will receive our first shipment of vaccine. It'll be the Pfizer, we believe.
Okay, and Dr. Wilson, there's a question. How long will the immunity last after the injections? Because I heard that it's only good for 90 days.
Yes, and that's some of the misinformation that it's important for us to address, because there are no conclusive studies that have shown the durability. Again, there's that term durability. What is the specific durability for each of these different platforms? And we don't know that yet, because the vaccines have been in development, for 11 months. Thinking about this. Well, we're in December, and the world began this really rapid progression of vaccine development in March. Well, we actually began in January because that's when we got a hold of the sequence. But the real scale-up effort began in March, and then the clinical trials started in the summer. And so thinking about that, we really don't have that data available to make that statement that it's only protective for 3 months. I think that, again, a lot more information will come out in the near future as these studies continue to conclude or continue to have more participants, and we're able to track them at longer times.
All right, thank you. And with that, Dr. McCauley, if you would like to do your presentation at this time as a follow-up to what Dr. Wilson just did for our viewers, and then we'll entertain some more questions after that. And Derek Leslie will also have an opportunity to speak.
Sure, thank you. And I'm not going to use slides. Those were great slides, and it's really been wonderful to listen to Dr. Wilson, who's more of a research scientist than I am. So I want to just share with you a little bit about White Mountain Apache Tribe healthcare here at Whiteriver Indian Hospital and what we're anticipating. We're, of course, waiting for shipments of vaccine. We anticipate getting a shipment shortly after the FDA gives emergency use authorization, and we anticipate getting the Pfizer vaccine. Because we're not going to get enough to vaccinate everybody right away, but we hope we will get shipments, several times per week, or at least every week. we'll vaccinate first. We'll start with the people at the highest risk of getting exposed, which is our healthcare workers. And then we'll move from there to our high-risk tribal members. So we hope to be able to vaccinate a large proportion of several months, depending on the shipment. I did want to make just a couple of quick comments, and I'm not going to talk much about the vaccine because Dr. Wilson did a lot. I'll answer questions as best I'm able, but I want to talk a little bit about getting vaccines into people. Of course, it's like a medicine. I can prescribe medicines for your blood pressure or your diabetes. If you don't put it in your mouth or inject your insulin, it will do no good. So even though millions of people and literally billions of dollars have been spent to create these vaccines, they'll do no good if we can't get people to take them. I think it's important to remember that this technology has been around for decades. It's been worked on for other diseases. It was pushed quickly because of COVID and the urgency, but what the people in the infectious disease community like to say is it was done quickly because of all the resources, but no corners were cut. So we've enrolled, by we, I mean the scientific community, not obviously myself, but there have been over 30,000 people enrolled in the Moderna vaccine trial, 40,000 plus in Pfizer, and another 40,000 in the Johnson & Johnson. And those numbers are very much the same as has been done for every other vaccine ever studied. It's just that they were done quickly because the resources were given and all the universities and literally people around the world started working on it right away. Whereas historically, for most vaccines, a company gets an idea, they slowly work on it, they check it, they decide if it's worth investing resources. Things move slowly, not because you need to move slowly, but because the resources require slow moving. The analogy I would use is during World War II, the US built over 1,200 battleships or warships during the 4 years of the war. And that was much faster than ever before. It didn't mean that the ships all sunk because they couldn't float. It just meant people put all their resources into that one effort. So don't think of the speed as meaning corners were cut. They really were not. When the vaccine gets here, we'll do the same thing we've done for flu seasons. We'll have flu clinics, we'll have vaccines available, we'll have vaccine sites. We are very confident that we can get the vaccine off for people. And the last point I'd really like to make is people get nervous, and I appreciate that. And you should ask questions, and you should always ask us questions about all of your healthcare because it's a shared decision. But remember, this disease is not just a cold. We are seeing, unfortunately, people dying from it. And honestly, we don't even know if you recover from COVID, if there's not any residual damage to your lungs or to your heart or to any other part of your body. So I would hesitate to be skeptical of people who say, oh, I'll just get the disease and recover. You might recover, you most likely will recover, but we don't even know what the long-term effect will be. So I would strongly encourage people to take the vaccine over the disease at this point from what we know about both of them. And I think I'll stop there and I'll answer questions or both from the panel and from the ones that are being typed in.
There's another one with the side effects, and that one, it could be just the sore arm, the different, what Dr. Dave will, just explained earlier. Here's another one. Well, people still have to wear masks? Yes. Stay in lockdown? Yes. Should people feel safe with the vaccine in the body or take precautions? That's what you can answer.
Yeah, and so let me go to the side effects first. Almost every vaccine gives us some side effects. And in general, when your body reacts strongly, we often think that means that your immune system is developing good, strong, robust response. So getting achy and feeling fatigued and even a little bit of a fever should not be interpreted as a bad thing. It may actually be a good thing. It may be your body developing a really brisk immune response so that when you're exposed to COVID, you'll be able to handle that exposure. Should we feel safe? I believe so. I've been, my whole career of 35 years, I've watched many vaccines be developed, and they've always been a really exciting addition. It's always better to prevent somebody from getting a disease than to let them get the disease.
There's one that says for those participating in the study. It says,
Yeah, I can.
okay, go ahead.
Yeah, for those participating in the study, there's a group called the Data Safety Monitoring Board, the DSMB, and they're the ones who actually hour by hour, day by day, monitor the progression of the studies. And they are the ones who make the call on whether a vaccine is shown efficacious, or if it's not shown any ability to reduce or create antibodies and protect. In that case, in either case, they make the decision to stop the study. And then when that happens, all the individuals who received placebo will then receive the product if it is proven to be efficacious. So that's the answer.
Okay, thank you. There's one question that I keep getting popping up on my mini screen here on my iPad. It says, when will the vaccine be available for children so that our schools can become safer? And is this vaccine safe for children? What age group do you start at?
So my understanding right now is that now that there's good safety data in adults, they're moving the trials down to adolescents and then younger. And so there'll be a little bit of time until it's available for children. The other group that's just now being studied, because you tend to want to make sure it's very safe before you move into that group, is women who may be pregnant. So those groups, children and pregnant women, are just now being studied. And Dr. Wilson, I'm going to sort of put you on the spot, but I'm assuming you have more information than I do on that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the children's studies will not be efficacious studies. So they will do the correlative dosing depending upon weight and size of individuals, but what we're most concerned about is safety. Making sure that the dosing levels are safe. We want to get down to that minimum dose that remains most effective for children, and so that will be coming soon as we get more information again around the large cohort studies that are ongoing for phase 3 clinical trials. But it is a priority. Everybody's thinking about it, and also I wanted to mention that based on Dr. McCauley's kind of our remarks around prolonged symptoms or after the fact symptoms, the NIH is also going to be sponsoring research on what are termed as long haulers, because again, we don't know what are the long-term effects after you have contracted the disease and recovered from it. There might be, and we hear more and more about this, a lot of fatigue, muscle ache, foggy, mental state. So there's a lot I think we still need to learn about the disease. So again, it's best not to get it, but there's going to be more research and a lot more that comes out in the future. Thanks.
Thank you. Jerry?
Just had a question for either of them, Dr. Wilson or Dr. McCauley. Earlier in the screen, he talked about the landing gear on the human body has a receptor, and I saw in the news that these various medicines come out with about a certain % of effectiveness. And so knowing now that Pfizer is what's going to be here at White Mountain Apache Tribe, is that the one that is about 90% effective, and is that the one that has to be 72 degrees below zero?
Well, yes. The good news is both of the 2 mRNA vaccines seem to be about 95% effective.
95.
So from what we know today,
that's what I meant. 95.
Pfizer, yeah, and the Moderna are both equally effective.
Excellent.
And I would also say we are getting the Pfizer, but I will also say I actually expect that we'll get the Moderna as well over the next several months. So it's really just a matter of which one we get first.
Wow.
We will eventually.
That's great.
Yeah, and so speaking with a lot of infectious disease specialists across the NIH, they were really shooting for something that was around 50%. And seeing something that is 95% is absolutely astonishing. So that is very, very promising data that we've been seeing around the efficacy.
Good. Well, that's excellent. Derek, I guess I got a question for Derek. Derek, how can the EOC work with the IHS and the powers that be on efficiently bringing in this vaccine to our people? I like the priority that Dr. McCauley talked about. I think the second one is the most vulnerable. So those are the ones that I think are really tuned in here, the most vulnerable. I think first priority are the first responders and them, but I think the second group, they're the ones that really can't wait. So how can EOC move fast on this?
That's really a great question, Jerry. So here at the EOC, we have been developing the tribe's COVID-19 vaccine distribution priority list. We have been in consultation with IHS Pharmacy. The incident commander and a few members of the EOC are hosting weekly meetings with the Whiteriver Service Unit Pharmacy. And so as of right now, of course, the public safety officials and first frontline workers are certainly the priority for the EOC. So that's PD, fire department, EMS, CHR, the IQS staff, and so we did have a meeting scheduled with them on Thursday. However, we had to reschedule that meeting. So we are currently going to reach out to those tribal departments who have been identified by the EOC as the public safety and frontline workers, and so to get a head count of their total staff and then make arrangements to set up appointments with IHS. And so this is an ongoing conversation, and obviously our health director and our health department has also been involved in state and national conversations regarding this very topic. And then we're currently working with IHS Pharmacy in developing a listing of all the vulnerable population and the priorities from the tribal perspective in terms of who's going to get what dose or who's going to get the dosage first. And so we are definitely in a conversation. We do have weekly calls with IHS, various departments. And so, we'd have this going. We're working on a plan for, we have all the supplies ordered for a mass vaccine clinic, so to speak, out in the public. And so we're currently there's always moving parts to this, and so the tribe is ready. We do have our priorities set in place. We are on weekly calls with Dr. McCauley and Brian Campbell and Michelle Martinez and the rest of their incident command team. As you're aware, we do have 2 weekly calls regarding our joint incident command. And so there's a conversation going, and I'm proud to say that thanks to our chairwoman and our health director and the emergency operation team, we are at the table with that in terms of how the vaccine dosage will be distributed to our people. And as someone, I myself am a research participant in the Pfizer study, and I received my 2 dosages already. And so and I really would encourage our people to get the vaccine when it does come out. And so that's from the EOC's perspective.
So I don't see anything different from you. So that's good. Maybe you can jump 10 feet higher or something, but otherwise, was it a simple process, just like a flu shot?
Yeah, it was. And for me, it was an easy decision. Having a front row seat at the devastation it has caused our people and my family, it was an easy decision for me. This is my contribution to the fight against COVID. And really, there was no side effects. I was really hoping to start speaking Russian, but there's no such thing. And so I did get 2 dosages. I got 2 dosages, and there was nothing aside from the usual pain and swelling at the injection site. And so I would definitely recommend it. I was really the usual. The longest part of it was the the consenting, which obviously should be a long process. And so I really want to thank Johns Hopkins, the Center for American Indian Health here in Whiteriver, who are actively looking for people to participate in the clinical trial. It's definitely, like I said, for me, it was an easy decision because
Is
I
it
just
still
see
open?
how it has affected our people.
Is it still open?
As far as I know, it's still open and they are still recruiting participants for the study. And so I'm glad to hear that there's 50 of us from our community that are, participating in this Pfizer clinical trial.
Wow. I didn't know that.
So may I add?
Yes, Dr. Wilson, go ahead.
Great, thank you. I wanted to say, thank you so much, for participating in that clinical trial. There were hundreds of Navajos. So the Pfizer study was sponsored by Johns Hopkins on the Navajo reservation, but there are going to be additional opportunities. Like I had mentioned in my presentation, the Sanofi, or the protein-based vaccine, is going to be launching in January, and we're hoping to bring that to the Southwest as well. So there are opportunities, and if you want to hear more or find out more information about that, please contact me, and I will be happy to give you that information.
Thank you. Mr. Producer, can you put up Dr. Wilson's email address for our viewers to contact? He did put it up earlier on one of the slides. I think that's very important to show. There you go. dave.wilson2@nih.gov. And there's other listed emails there. Get your, go to their website. Look at how they are doing their work and research. And you're certainly welcome to look at our own Emergency Operations Center. They have a Facebook site where they post everything from CDC to the NIH to Center for American Indian Health. Very, very important that you be informed. You take that information and ask questions. Very important. It's very important when you go see your doctor, how you have questions. I felt like this. I was, that helps the doctor help you. And then through research, it helps for our future generations. When our ancestors, way back when the flu first arrived, or even the first common cold, it was something brand new. And then they had to go through the process as well. We're in the same similar condition right now, but all of the technology and all of our experts like we have today on the show help us through that time period. So if you have anxiety, if you have questions about COVID-19, the vaccine, it's very important to ask questions, and you should, don't feel like I can't ask anything. You should. That's how you become informed. That's how you become more well-educated in all of this. So I just want to thank Derek for his work at the tribal level and being an example for all of us by being a participant in the study. I know that I was a participant in a prior vaccine study, and it takes a lot of commitment to do. And you get your own little booklet to keep track of everything. And with my schedule and how busy I am for this one, and also managing different facets of our jobs as council, it kind of like, I don't want to mess up the tracking process if I forget to write what I need to. And, when the vaccine comes and that distribution is made available, we will certainly be there to help participate and to help promote the need to be vaccinated. And I heard a comment by a gentleman, Larry, Dave, if you could help me with his last name. Corey, yes, Dr. Corey, who works with Anthony Fauci. He spoke to us the last 2 days with National Institute of Health TAC group. He mentioned that he wants his own children to get the vaccine and himself, because it provides more of a protection for you. And should you get sick, you won't be as sick. Whereas if you have no protection at all, you stand the chance of being hospitalized, having the virus attack your major organs. So is it fair to say that is a good indicator of, it's your decision, of course. I'm not, telling you, but you weigh these benefits, especially with your age and all the factors that go along with what we're trying to do to protect people. And correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Wilson, on that statement that he had made. I kind of paraphrased it. I know he communicated it in that way, in some sort.
Yeah, he said that, and that you did a great job. He said, would you risk the chance of being hospitalized, intubated, and possibly die when you have a 95% chance of avoiding that with a vaccine?
Right.
Yes, very important. Thank you. That's what he said. And then, Jerry, go ahead.
Here, bringing it home, at least for me, I guess, I can relate to the doctor saying that about his children. I am okay waiting to take the test or whatever, but I would really like my 80-year-old parents to be in that trial. And, I'm sure they would be open to it. I'm not trying to talk for them or anything like that. But if there was an opportunity to have this trial still be open, I think we can get people like some of the elders to be a part of that, because I think they could help in the overall spectrum of the analysis of the results, I guess, from different age categories. And I just can't help but go back to Monday night, Chairwoman, when we had a Christmas tree lighting ceremony in downtown Whiteriver. Cold night, but we had a survivor. The story of Renee Garcia. I'll just summarize real fast as possible. She got the virus, she fought it, but she required hospitalization. She went to sleep and had nightmares, bad dreams. She thought her children were getting in trouble, going to jail. She woke up and couldn't talk, but the nurse said, "Oh, you're back. You're here. Like you're doing good. And then the next person came and he said, "You've been out for 2 months," and she just was in shock. 2 months, she was in a coma. And so again, continue with the story. She fought it and recovered, and but this time, you talk about organs. Her heart got something attacked, I guess, and so she's recovering from that. But she actually happened to be at the Christmas tree lighting ceremony, and so it is for people like them that I, echo that same question from the doctor you mentioned, Chairwoman. And so I think there would be people who would be willing to do this, and I just keep continuing to pray that it will be as soon as possible, very efficient, that, all the priorities will not be delayed, and there won't be any perceive like negativeness about why did that group get this first and what about us, it's not fair, blah blah blah. I mean, everything should be fair and orderly, and so I just threw that out there. I just wanted to make that point. I sure hope my parents, I worry about them, Chairwoman. I really worry about them. My mother invited me to get us some turkey, and I went in there and I tried to hold it and everything, but as soon as I got into the parking lot, boy, I just couldn't help it. They just aged so fast, it seemed. But I just want them to be safe. That's all I want.
Right.
That's it.
Thank you. Yes, our elders are very important. They are our wisdom keepers. They are our connection to the not so distant past. So Dr. McCauley, Dr. Wilson, Derek, your thoughts on elderly getting these vaccines?
Well, I can talk about, the research
Yeah, go ahead.
real quick. So there is an opportunity, Chief of Staff Glochet. So I have had conversations with the San Carlos Council, and they actually have approved, I believe, the opportunity for their community members to participate in the Sanofi trial. So we're working with the San Carlos Healthcare Corporation to bring that trial to the community. There are two distinct age groups that each of these trials is trying to enroll: 18 to 64 and 65 and above. And your parents would absolutely fit within that category or that range group. So there are opportunities for these upcoming trials for participation, and we're looking to ramp up those conversations with the San Carlos healthcare system in the next few weeks. Thanks.
Dr. McCauley?
Yeah, I was just going to mention that if I understand both the Pfizer and Moderna data so far, it's responded quite well in the elderly. So the vaccine has worked in people over the age of 65, and it certainly will be offered to them. And when we've talked about priorities with Derek and EOC, the elderly are at the very top of our list. The first responders, of course, but we have been as you know, we've focused on them also for those who get exposed. We visit their houses regularly. We try to keep them safe. So they are definitely at the top of our list, and we would definitely offer them vaccine as it becomes available, as well as the opportunity to participate in studies if appropriate.
Thank you. Derek?
Yes, to echo what Dr. McCauley says, here at the EOC, obviously our elders are our priority. And so in discussing our priority lists, and obviously they're up there in terms of our ranking and our priority. And so we definitely are working with the IHS, the Whiteriver Service Unit, in ensuring that our elders are at the top of the priority list for receiving the vaccine once it does receive the emergency use authorization from the FDA. We are currently also working with our long-term care facility residents, and so we are having conversations with Mr. Rydell Charlie at the Client Business Office and his All-Tex program, and we are going to start our conversation here with the Adult Protective Service at the Tribal Social Services, and they do oversee a lot of our elders who reside in homes off the reservation. And so, I really wanted to thank this during this whole process. I just wanted to assure the people that, the tribe has been at the table at every single conversation. Here at the EOC, one of our philosophies is, nothing for us if not with us. And so really being at the table in terms of all of these discussions that are going on. And, certainly a big thanks to our the health director, our health department, the tribe's health advisory board does receive regular notifications and updates during their their monthly board meetings. And so the tribe has been an active collaborator in all of this. IHS, CDC, and NIH, and has definitely always sought the tribe's input. And so definitely, to echo the chairwoman and Jerry's comments, Hundi elderly Zibo yet. And so we're doing everything we can to ensure that they're safe during this time. And so, there was so many misinformation circulating out there. It's best to always be careful on who you get your information from. But the tribe, the elders are one of our priorities for the vaccine distribution priority.
Okay, and a comment made by our Councilman Beach. He's asking Dr. McCauley if the vaccine will be available in the CBQ clinic.
Yes, we've been working hard to make sure we can get the vaccine to every place in the community, and we're confident that we can. The real question will be how much we get and how fast we get it, but we definitely will plan on bringing it to everybody as close to them as possible. So yes, we will plan on that.
Okay. There's a question by Paul Walker. When will Operation Warp Speed start? An estimate of when people will start receiving the vaccine.
So we are on calls already planning, and Dr. Wilson may have more information, but we are told that within literally 1 or 2 days of emergency use authorization, the vaccine, the first round will ship. The problem, of course, is it has to be distributed all over the country, and it has to be divided up fairly. So we won't get enough for the entire tribe right away. We'll get enough for a large proportion of our frontline workers. And then again, we'll expect shipments to keep coming, weekly thereafter. So we expect it to be very fast after approval.
Okay.
Yes, may I add, not only around the country, but around the world. Pfizer is an Oxford, England based laboratory. So they're already beginning to issue out doses in Europe. So, but I also wanted to answer the question about Operation Warp Speed. So Operation Warp Speed is actually a collaboration between the Department of Defense, HHS, which would be NIH, CDC, and a whole other range of federal partners have come together to create this public-private partnership so that we could expedite the development, the production, and the distribution of vaccines. So that is already ongoing, and that was from the very beginning. That was assembled by the administration in early March. So that is still ongoing. And now we're getting closer to the distribution phase, which would be primarily IHS and CDC. And we're hoping, to be able to support them in any way possible. But I just wanted to provide a little clarification on OWS.
Okay, thank you. Dr. Wilson, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask the producer to bring up one slide where the virus, if you will, attaches. I want to explain that. If you could re-explain that, and I'll do my best to interpret that in Apache for our viewers in case grandma, grandpa are watching the show with their family on this virus.
Yeah, absolutely. So the virus is encapsulated and has what are called spike proteins. And we visualize, or the best way to think about this is it is the landing gear that is used by the virus to make contact or connect with our cells. And it looks for a specific contact point on our cells called the ACE2 receptor. And so if you can go to the next slide is actually a better, there you go.
Okay.
There, that one.
Yeah. And so you can see it's a trimeric protein. So it has 3 parts that are in different colors there. And that binds to the ACE2 receptor. Once that virus particle makes that connection, then it is able to shuttle into the cells and begin to create disease and infection.
Okay, thank you. Di danos itla din Dr. Dave Wilson is it nantanli yutahanli dini ko ben which hatzi di ka naltihi coronavirus olze di das itla a coronavirus debolo atena bikayu hati haraz a spike daitila ki iya nanta dawa no hi tsihi bi iya H2 receptor daitli a yikadiz a yikanantao a yibeth be bin leak ya a kinishkahi biwa Diko na ina ila di coronavirus adas ila tagi yus tatel adanole dawe hara jaho e kero iki tihi ya kinishkahi ate di coronavirus H2 receptors de dano hiwa no hiwek no hiyo daulini la H2 receptor a bits aya dohan Natikesu Dano Hiwa H2 receptors no hiya olila ekero a D virus a yikadis o lasa din benishka la nzeho awa dira wano ichi ya ti ni mask o li le do han kana bishka na dara le do song sa adan of era le olzei di da la be ilzahi aya ki ya ki tsihi yi ya naga hayu yi karis o a hati de boli bi dayu hati hadas ai aya yi wachi so aya yi chokla yi choki bi kero ki kinil kahi at Awadi Dave Wilson, Dr. Wilson, Leget Shich Undi Land Doc El Ande Kera Undek El Bishida Ananish Le Awadi Stiu. Da Sehawan Lanohi Daros Ini ni Waya Nichine Bishida Dila Kahi A Alze, Akano Lihi Alze, Ki Yia Naga AH2 receptor Olze Yikanan Ta. Bits aya kinishkahi bestaros tile yo ti bestaranos aho halanda ni zila awa ti vaccine kat ye bit tahi handi sao yik eraste he how shat danzi dini is it nantan adile yo a kik and now ta do leshi bi wah bana hila ati handi vaccine companies Moderna, Pfizer, Novavax, Dawa, yik enada is zik nig tuntel hanayo nigosan teheyo is it nantan dawa slanakaho diko vaccine yik enada is zikla hatua shoda hasle bana este nzishi Dr. Macaulay, Dr. Wilson, what I'm explaining now is why it happened at such a high rate of speed and even though it was done at a high rate of speed, creating these vaccines, there was no shortcuts whatsoever. That's what I'm explaining right now. Di do ha das liha yoda hasle ada is lada is it nantan da tehe nigosan bikayo sai kayo diko salte o dolelo hani that is in ekero di FDA Food and Drug Administration ikayo nasta yitara is in the el handi dohana whatever did it shi kola sebo zinko da nejata di da zan bahal de do lesh consejo di ko bana estehi at edoharas liha yoda I just explained that the FDA oversees the authorization before it even goes to the people. If I've missed anything, I can restate that at this time. I'm showing this picture to grandma and grandpa out there who probably, you know, when you talk about the virus, you can't see it. And that's the best photo available. And what I explained was all of us have H2 receptors, and that's what it's looking for. And the spikes is what it attaches to. And then you start getting the virus throughout your body. Gentlemen.
That's terrific explanation. And I also want to add, thinking about the no shortcuts thing, is that it's important for us to realize and recognize that we had 2 additional experiences with diseases that are members of the coronavirus family, which are the swine flu, what happened in 2009, and the Middle East respiratory syndrome, what happened in 2012. So these outbreaks were big and they were nationally covered. This actually launched the initial stage of research for this particular family of viruses. So this allowed us to get years, decades of research in before we had exposure to the novel SARS-2 coronavirus. So that helps, that launched the research so far ahead that we were able to develop vaccines very quickly in response to this most recent outbreak. And that is really what helped us cut down on the time to develop these various products that are out on the market right now, or very, very soon to be. Thanks.
So these viruses are kind of like cousins to each other then. And then because you already have information about them, made it a lot more easier to develop this vaccine because of the prior information available based on.
Yep, we were doing research on the cousins, absolutely.
Okay, then Dr. Wilson, which had seen la dabito swine flu, benadaltishi, kahinaltine, kero what was the other one? I'm sorry, the other second.
It was MERS, the Middle East Respiratory Syndrome.
Middle East Respiratory Syndrome.
2009.
2012 na naltini. A is it nantani a na ki ka naltihi di coronavirus dahliki get el banatsu kesla bi ate bi kegati a rawa a da tladalt get el stoze di ko banatsil kesla you awa ena how na inai how kinikahi is it nantan yudal sihi bi wa a khana lishka dahliki get el banatsil keson a ena buzihla da no hindi baranosi a is it nantan a ena yudal sihi bit aya di coronavirus hayahi bikero a di bit aya ilash ena awa di ena boransi lasa baby is it alte di fikeran jahla dan ziho di ko bana ihtehila nukhilto di ko bana nasihatita bik in debi is it chik dawi is it astusa bana nasi a is it because but stia age at la kichodi dini bich ejidel to chik assistisana shits en jonari tihni shima ay tu kayu sha nakam bel ay leget to got shits en nari tihna wadi ko shichodi tatel is it bich odi awati is it nantan that twantela na yo niggas san bika tiko yik enera iziki lash ena tabil tel ka na tihi how na ina yiro simbe. Just like the gentleman, Dr. Wilson explained, these viruses, the swine flu and the Middle Eastern respiratory syndrome, they're cousins to the coronavirus. So because they're cousins, they have similar makeup. It made it a lot easier with more rapid response of how to respond to it to get this vaccine. So that kind of eases the anxiety of those that may think, oh, that it just came out of nowhere and then we made it. It's not. You've heard it from Dr. Wilson that they've already developed prior vaccines for these other illnesses and disease, which made it a lot easier. So, which is how in the medical field all that works.
Okay. Chairwoman, I just wanted to again re-acknowledge and say thank you to Dr. Wilson for bringing this to the forefront in a good educational piece, and also especially to our clinical director. It is so good to know as a tribal member that we have a clinical director ready to put on his boxing gloves to fight for us. And he got us the 95% effective rate medicine. And how are we supposed to know that we could have a freezer that can hold that certain medicine? But on behalf of the people of White Mountain Apache Tribe, Dr. James McCauley, thank you very, very much. And so let's work together cohesively, keep oiling the machine with the tribal governing body, the EOC, the people, the public, and IHS. Let's keep all of that oil and a smooth running machine here. Okay, let's do it.
Okay, thank you. And I just want to also reiterate.
Go ahead. Yes.
Quickly, the vaccine is not an immediate silver bullet. Di kiwats escape di bikero doha mask banashara do lesh do kansihora. Di vaccine tlege kich o di do lesh do jona wore kinishka raibewa. Benar do lesh. Di ni mask holin o do lesh. Socially distanced di do han da chana bishkasen daura do lesh. Vaccine da alzahi bikero. Yei the yahan jarelte hani dehendila no da aula yei Dr. McCauley in Dishto Indian Health Service see Operation Warp Speed Team mibesnara in Washington you the vaccine did ahead han ba out any babishni get dole shibiwa yei the mRNA vaccine. Da ana beginner da ziki ni di ze de tontela na yura ko United States bi da li to kat no wada da benish kahrawa kat ya bora no se flu vaccine o li ada sedonina alzana di hausha di ko bana de nzile yo di coronavirus si aya to da ko vaccine de no hicha danika how la ze ba pitching consejo ize nan tan tontela na yo nego standard have kat like kayo di ko bich o di do less than ho benatsi kesi don sayura be at a don sayu ida sada isla hela a no hik ena ta do less be one vaccine alzai la benadal do less ya ida be here vaccine how handelse ba al de nzile you sayo para yani delte ba al de do less le ino ki asitini no he's that nan is that nan benal a hatwa a delte nzile you a delte big and now town handa niskai le you delte a cool bibidl ado leshi be one a be what's of get lashin ibik and now ta do leshi be one to got no water no chanikara be one is that nan benal a we asked delete down first responders a down no handa da isiko aresti la do got no chat danika aresti da dead anji each another d he be one awa abi taristi abi kero bara yani se hans kena daniskai ediko ba alde orlesh and the vaccine law na eradicate na inskiton ni tsihi how na ida ni pon sehola dani how antehi clay dichi nikai to ha Ibinish ara and zishi eda a bon sihi dani bon sihola dan ko ninkai le you na wade ninishka le you don joda awa di vaccine panatsin kes dani ninik ehtole sola a indeed ehnigo sambi kayo bilch dahal io on ya eight bilch dahal io sto diko is it kicho di at to kana wada kinishka na everyone Olzel, kat you White Mountain Apache Reservation, no da no the stocky be ya ashlatin yichtel, DB what's another ashko on yan dila Derek, ain't abit ayat diko how no kitch o di how kedish nido leshi and diki wanats ishko ye koyen di dawaki cut down di and I abin still the lesto.
Okay. Very good, Chairwoman. Just one last simple educational thing just for our people. I'm sporting my ASU jersey. We're playing today. We've been out for 3 weeks, we being ASU football. Right here, or this side, I guess, backwards, is the coach for ASU and some players. Okay, that's in microscope, their human body. Right here is the virus. So the virus went like that and connected with the coach and the ASU players. That's why we had no games for 3 weeks. And now the team have been isolated and they're ready to play finally. So fans like me get a chance to finally watch them. They're going to play tonight. And so we all got to do our part to try to take this serious and be careful. So it's good that the whole Pac-12 or the whole NCAA didn't get this because of, trying to be smart. The ASU team said, okay, we got it. Let's stop all of our games. Let's stop all of our practices. No more. Then let's not let it spread. And so that's kind of been going around all over United States with these football teams. So it's kind of an awkward year, but we still have a little bit of football, a little bit of sports, and I guess we shouldn't complain too much about that. So Chairwoman, I guess we're about ready to conclude then, huh? You have anything else?
Yeah, we're gonna bring Dr. Wilson and
Okay.
Dr. McCauley back on. There
Okay.
is a question on here about Well, there was a question if Johns Hopkins was still recruiting for the trial. They're not. So remember that they're not recruiting. And then there is a question about immunity. If herd immunity, how is that? There was a question about herd immunity. So Dr. McCauley, maybe you can explain. I think there would have to be like 13,000 members that would need to be vaccinated, somewhere around there. At what level? Could you kind of expand on that? That question seems to keep popping up.
Sure. So the idea is that if we get to a place where most people have either gotten the illness and recovered or been vaccinated, then it'll be very difficult for the virus to be transmitted in the community. And a lot of people think that number might be as high as 80% that need to have been vaccinated or infected and recovered. So we really need quite a few more to get vaccinated, probably at least 10,000 or so, because we've had about 3,000 of our community members get infected and recover. So we need more to get to herd immunity. And we definitely don't want 10,000 people to get sick to get to herd immunity, because many will suffer and unfortunately some would die. So we really need the vaccine to get us to herd immunity.
Okay, thank you. There you have it. It's been explained. Derek, are you there? Derek Leslie?
Yes,
There
I
you
am,
are.
Chairwoman.
Okay, is there anything else you would like to comment on at this time or ask the two gentlemen?
No, basically just a reminder to everyone that we are still on the 72-hour lockdown until Monday evening at 8 p.m. And definitely encourage everyone to avoid large gatherings in our community. It seems like our Thanksgiving numbers have arrived, and so definitely urge our community to do their part in keeping each other safe. And I did reach out to Dr. Brown from Johns Hopkins, who did inform me that they are not recruiting anymore for this Pfizer clinical trial. However, and there are 33 people on their waiting list should the trial extend beyond the Tuesday deadline. And so, unfortunately, they are no longer recruiting. But there may be future vaccine trials to participate in, and as Dr. Wilson said. And so, definitely from the EOC, from the tribal perspective, please continue to do your part. We're in this together. I know it's unfortunate that we're going through the lockdown, but it's, the safety and well-being of our people that remains our top priority here at the EOC. And I wanted to thank IHS and Johns Hopkins University for their continued collaboration with the EOC. We have meetings like 1, 2, 3 times a week. And so we have experts from across the spectrum who are collaborating with the EOC and providing guidance as needed to the EOC. And so definitely wanted to thank our partners in all of this, IHS and NIH and CDC. And so please continue to do your part. We're in this together, and we'll get through it. And with this vaccine being introduced, it seems that the light at the end of the tunnel is getting brighter and brighter and brighter. We're not there yet, but please continue to do your part.
Thank you. And I really want to thank your participation, Dr. Wilson and Dr. McCauley. Very, very informative. I'm getting a lot of good comments that this was a spectacular, informative session. So I want to thank you for your time. I know it's a Saturday. We here at White Mountain, we're on a lockdown right now. So thank you so much for your contribution. And also you, Derek, every day you're chipping away, and every day you're getting scrutinized, and sometimes, not so happily in that way, but you still carry your dignity and your respect for the field of public health. And I really want to thank you, and all of you here as well. And you, the viewers, public health is very important. We all are in this together, especially coronavirus. I want to say, stand together by not standing together, if that makes sense. That means socially distancing, Yeah. We have to do that. So thank you, all of you, for today's show. I can't thank you enough. Very, very informative. And we've reached a lot of people, and that's what's important. So,
Chairwoman, may I say that I wanted to thank you for the opportunity to speak to your community members. So I work with all, and I represent all 500, well, not represent, but engage with all 574 federally recognized tribes. And it is absolutely phenomenal what you're doing for the community with your team's leadership, with Derek at the helm, and with the health professionals that you're working with, and providing this absolutely critical, accurate, and clear information is something that we all need to do. I wish more communities that we work with would do this, because it really, I think, helps clarify and ease a lot of concerns around what we've been seeing on the news or what we've been hearing from a friend. So we really appreciate this, and thank you so much for the invitation.
Thank you, and I appreciate your comments there. I'm very, very
Garcia. Renee Garcia
here's
go ahead.
Renee Garcia. She's our COVID survivor, the one that was in coma for many months. She said, "Thank you, backline workers, for working diligently to come up with a vaccine. There is hope for humanity. We are in this together." So, you know,
Right.
that, ladies and gentlemen, is the reason why we do the show. And you know, Jerry and I, we've been working together on this show and bringing up topics that we feel is important to you, the viewer. And we've got a wide range of viewers. There's one that tuned in from Tennessee, overseas, our surrounding reservations, our surrounding town. It helps in the field of public health to help one another in that way. And I also want to give a special shout out to Dr. Santosham of Johns Hopkins. Yeah, he has been my mentor since the first time I went to take the NARCH classes out there. And I've completed everything so far, and everything that I've learned, I'm now applying. So I can't say enough good things about learning about those things that will come back and help your people, not just in public health, but behavioral health. COVID-19 also affects mental health. We also need to remember that. This lockdown that we're in, you know, people are like, I can't do anything. I have to do something. That also is a major impact. It can affect them positively or negatively. And the children, they can no longer interact with the kids at school, their friends. They're stuck at home. Internet's not working. All those things coming together. I know you're feeling the anxiety, but just know that every contribution that we're all making to keep our numbers low and to get the vaccine distributed to protect our people will then help us to survive, because I can't say enough about our elders. They are our wisdom keepers. Every time one passes, part of our culture goes with them. And at White Mountain Apache, we used to have 200 over age 80. Because of COVID, we've lost some of them, and that number has dropped. 200 out of 17,000 is not that very many elders anymore. So those of you watching in your homes, you live with an elder, be very respectful of them. Be very careful about them. Treat them like you don't want anything to get near them, and be respectful of their ability to be relaxed at home. If you know you're sick, don't go near them. Be respectful, and just talk to them by phone, you know, or even like this. Even at the hospital, we can't go in there right now because they have special requirements. And there's a Connect for COVID-19, a program that helps with distributing iPads to hospitals, which I helped deliver some to certain hospitals in Arizona so that families could talk like how we are talking right now. That's the way to go right now. But we all have to continue to do our part and to have greater results. You know, we were at a response stage in the beginning, like hurry up and respond. Now we're in a management phase, but through that management phase, we also have to keep doing our part to make sure that we're keeping each other safe. And I want to thank all of you, the gentlemen here on the screen. You all have an important role in all of this, and what your mom and dad, your grandma and grandpa have taught you, you're now helping our people everywhere, like Dr. Wilson, Dr. McCauley, Derek, Jerry. what mom and dad taught you, grandma and grandma, that foundation. Look at you now, you're helping people all over. And that speaks volumes and a testament to the family core values that you have and the values that you have for yourself. And it takes a lot of work and character and drive and commitment to do what you're doing. I just want to say thank you. And to all of the viewers out there, thank you for watching.
All right. Well, it's been very informative. That's all I've been reading on the bottom line screen there. Very informative. And so I think we got a really great show today. Good topic that benefits everyone. So with that, I'm going to go out here. Hey, Chairwoman, I'm going to show this. Look at that right there. Can you see? Oh,
Jerry's hunting tag.
Yeah. So we're going to go here. Got a friend waiting. He's going to be here right at noon. So
Okay.
Cardinals,
Jerry,
they're playing tomorrow, 2:00. We're going to win. We're going to beat
we better
Los Angeles
win.
Rams. Yeah. We're mad. So 28-24. 28-24. We got to win it. We got to win it. Okay, Chairwoman, you were going to say something? What's up?
Yes, I want to give our viewers a quiz, White Mountain Apache Tribe. From December 1 through December 5, I'm going to read you numbers. You're going to add it up. Day 1, we had 9 positives. Day 2, we had 7 positives. Day 3, we had 24. Day 4, we had 12. Sorry, excuse me. Day 5, I'm sorry, this is coming up weird. Okay, day 1, we had 9. Day 2 is 7. Day 3 is 24. Day 4 is 12. And I'm missing a number here, but our trigger point was 75. But those 5 numbers that were given to me add up to 75. So in prior conversations that we've had on KNB, instead of a lockdown, when we get that number, what happens? That's for you to know what's coming unofficially in the horizon because of those daily positives. It's not a 72-hour lockdown, but this will help you to remember what was it that they told us on KNB? What was it that EOC told us every day? What happens in a 5-day period when the numbers get up to 75? And we have met that. So that's for you to decipher. But it's unofficial. We have to get the numbers reconfirmed. So I just wanted to bring that up. I was looking at the numbers again, and for some reason my system is not coming up. I'm sorry. It's day 1 is 9, day 2 is 7, day 3 is 24, day 4 is 12, and day 5 is 25. So add up the numbers 9, 7, 24, 12, and 25. So that's
I know
75.
Derek kind of teased us a little bit, saying he's got the numbers from the Thanksgiving break there. So I'm sort of assuming that it might be rising a little bit. I don't know. But yeah, we got to do better. This house, your house, my relatives, your relatives, our neighbors, our community, our tribe, we all got to do better and take this thing more seriously. I know we just had a whole 2.5 hours of the prospect of a vaccine, but it's not here yet. It's not coming tomorrow, and it's probably not next week. So we got to play our diligence, and we all know what COVID can do to some people. We have some deaths in the community, and so that's a tough one there that we got to deal with. But just know that it's still here, and we got to just do our best. So continue to wear the mask and stay away from large crowds. Wash your hands often as you can, or sanitize, 6 feet apart. Good policies, all of them. So stick to it. and let's try our best. We can do it. I know we can.
Yes, we can. And with that, we're going to go to our closing prayer, which is going to be offered by Pastor Bostet, who is the pastor for East Fork Lutheran and Canyon Day Lutheran churches. Good morning, Pastor.
Go Eagles. Oh, no, we can't hear
Oh,
him.
no, you're muted. Check your audio.
I
Yes,
think
now
he's back
I'm
on
not
now.
muted anymore. All of this
So,
technology,
thank
you know,
you.
and we still make those little mistakes.
Do you still have your, how many Christmas trees in your house?
I believe this year there are nine large ones,
Yes,
and a few smaller
9
ones
large
tucked
Christmas
in here
trees.
and there.
Yeah, bigger than Jerry's. He's got 9 in his house. Very festive home during the holidays. But Pastor Bostet, thank you for joining us this morning. We like to close the show with a closing prayer, and we're trying to get different pastors and bishops and what have you in the community to do those, and medicine men. So if there's a medicine man willing to do a prayer for us, please get a hold of Jerry, and we can certainly have you on the show. Very important that we do that. And if you could close the session and give us a word, a short insight from you, and then we can go into the prayer.
Okay, thank you. It's a season of caring and sharing that we are entering into right now. And I think that it's a good time for us to remember all that God has provided for us and all that God has given to us. I think it is a time for us to remain positive and not focus so much on the things that we can't do, but the things that we can do. And in this season of caring, it is good for us to remember those people, as Jesus did, who need our help, whether that be the elders or people who can just use some assistance and care from us. And it is my encouragement to all of you today, in that spirit of the season, to continue to share and continue to care for the people that you can help, whether by phone or encouragement. There are many things we can do. And with that can-do attitude, I ask you to join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we come to you today with hearts that are humbled, with hearts that are in admiration of all of the love that you so generously pour out on us each and every day. The love that we know and feel through your Son, Jesus Christ, is the love that you have called us to bring to others. We come to you asking you to continue to guide the chairwoman and the tribal council and the EOC to take care of all of the people under their governance, to look out for all of our best interests, to continue to stand for us and to tell us the truth of what is going before us. Make each of us ambassadors of this season to show the love, the kind of love that Jesus showed to those people who were marginalized in their community, who weren't wealthy, who didn't have every luxury. But he reminded all of us to care for them, to care for the elders, the widows, those who are orphaned, to share with the blessings that have been given to us. We ask that you would also look over all of us and guide all of us to show care and concern for the needs of others, to follow those guidelines set down for us, to not put our own selfish needs first or argue and debate over policies, but to place ourselves under the guidance of those who are put over us, so that we can continue to serve you, continue to serve each other in the communities in which we live, to show the love and the peace, especially at this time of year, that comes from the gift of your Son. Remove the troubles and cares and concerns from our heart and mind, and fill us with the light of your gospel. We ask this knowing that you will not only hear this prayer, but you will also answer it in accord for all of our good. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.